All right, it's time to talk basketball. I'm Jose Salviati, editor at thepeachbasket.net. He's Steve Purciello, a longtime educator, Reds principal, high school basketball coach, and athletic director. And this is the Shot Clock Pod, the best 15 minutes in NBA random thoughts online. Anyway, if this is your first time listening, welcome. We're glad you found us. This podcast is born out of content and Steve's 30 Rules Random NBA Thoughts articles, which he publishes weekly. Steve and I have exactly 15 minutes to discuss what's on his mind around the NBA. Today, we'll discuss his latest 13 Rules Random NBA article, where he shares his thoughts on Dame Lillard's return to Portland, which is pretty cool. And then, interesting topic, he lists the 10 franchises that have yet to lift the Larry O'Brien, ranking them by order of the best chance to win it all. Interesting list. Lots to talk about when we get there. Steve, you ready?
Ready.
Let's do it. I'm going to start the clock. And before we get to your list, top 10 list, because it coincidentally happens to be 10 franchises, let's talk about Dame. You wrote that you were excited. It's a feel-good story, certainly, to see Dame come back. I expected him to go to Miami, not Portland. That's where he wanted to go. And instead, when he got traded to Milwaukee. But instead, he chose Portland. So it's absolutely undeniably a feel-good story. He had his greatest years there. It'll be nice to see him go back. That's going to tug on some heartstrings for NBA fans and certainly be a big news event in Portland. But what kind of team do you think Dame returns to in Portland in the 2026-27 season? Because he's not playing next season.
I think Portland would make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference, but in the Western Conference, they got a problem. They're just not good enough. I think they're disillusioned in thinking they're close to winning, and they're not. They're pretty good. Then he had Jeremy Grant, and then the young centers, Klingen, and the Chinese man, Hansen. They played well, and they have a future. But right now, I don't know if it's there. Scoot Henderson's just starting to figure it out. It's still a little ways away. And I don't think they're as close as they think. They brought in Holiday this summer. And my next question becomes, okay, in a year, Dame comes back. Last I looked, Holiday's got a 3-year contract. 3 more years on his contract. Now you have Henderson, Sharp, 2 guards that are young, need their time. And then you got 2 more guards in Holiday and Lillard. How are you going to do this? I'm trying to understand that. It's a nice story. Believe me, I'm glad he's back. And it really says something about him because he gave up hope probably for winning a title unless something crazy happens. But it doesn't make sense in the way. Why would Portland did it probably for the emotional, the good stuff there. He's not going to play next year, so who knows in 2 years. And maybe the idea is to dump Holiday after a year. Holiday, yeah, but you know what? He's making $30 million. 2 more years after this year. I don't know many teams that are going to want to pay $30 million for 2 years. Boston would be able to get rid of him that easily.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if this is how it all went down, of course. I have no inside knowledge, but it seems to me like Portland was taken aback here. Because how do you say no? You don't say no to Dame Lillard. So it's just like Dave says, I want to come back. Portland says, okay, of course, come on. We weren't planning for you. We were going in another direction. But we'll obviously take Dame Lillard on. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it all plays out in a couple of years. But at the end of the day, feel good story, which is always cool to have.
I think the other thing, and I pointed it out, was his kids are there.
Right.
And going home to them when they're very young might have been more important. And I admire that in them. It's a good thing.
100%. 100%. All right. Which takes us now to the list, which I think is fascinating. There's 30 NBA franchises. 20 of the 30 franchises have won in all. 10 have not. So what Steve did this week is he took those 10 and he ranked them by order of most likely to win it first. Okay, I think I'm going to read this from the bottom up, right? So I'm going to start with the teams. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through the whole entire list. And then I got 3 questions to ask. There were some things that pulled me a little bit. Let's start from the bottom. No argument for me. The New Orleans Pelicans. This would be the team that hasn't won one, that has the poorest chance to win it in the near future. Moving up, number 9, Charlotte Hornets. Number 8, the Memphis Grizzlies. That's a little bit of a head scratcher. We'll talk about that, I think. Number 7, the Utah Jazz. Number 6, the Brooklyn Nets. Number 5, the Indiana Pacers. We'll talk about it. Number 4, the Phoenix Suns. Number 3, the Los Angeles Clippers. Number 2, now these are the top 2 teams that are most likely to win it out of the 10 that have never won. The Minnesota Timberwolves. And number 1, the Orlando Magic. All right. Interesting list. Let's talk about a couple of things. There's lots to talk about here. Lots to unpack. Let's talk about one. The Pacers. The Pacers are the defending Eastern Conference champions. They just played the final. This is a really good team. And you've got them at number 5, middle of the road. I would have expected to see them at number 1 or 2. Why is such a good team not higher in your list?
You can't, when you're evaluating something like this, in my mind, you cannot look at the players all the time. You have to look at a couple things. And the way I look at this, ownership is very important. You have to have ownership that is willing to go into the tax and pay the tax. Now, first of all, Indiana has never been in the tax. That tells you something about ownership. The word was before Halliburton got hurt that they were going to go into the tax to sign Miles Turner. Halliburton got hurt. What did they do? They didn't go. They got rid. He signed somewhere else because they weren't offering him the same money. What I did is, the first thing I thought about, are these teams willing to pay? That would be the first thing. Now, again, we could talk about Memphis. I know that's a head scratcher. However, I'm sure you're aware they traded Desmond Bain so they could pay Jaren Jackson. What is that telling you? You're losing one of your best players. Are you going to ever win when you do things like that? No. You might win 50 games just on Ja's greatness a couple of years ago. But don't forget, they also lost Dylan Brooks. Now, Dylan Brooks is not the Mr. Nice Guy, but he was a key part of that team. Didn't want to pay him. Let him go to Houston. So you got to look at this, not just say, oh, they're so talented, but do you have ownership willing to do that? Or do you want to do what Michael Jordan did? Live on the tax and make bundles of money. In other words, and for people who don't know, when the tax is paid every year, the teams below the tax split all that money. So Michael Jordan is able to live off of that, sell it for a lot of money, but also, why win? I can just do this. So people need to pay attention to that. That's why the Clippers were 3rd, because Bomber will do anything to win. And he will paying the tax is meaningless to him. So he will try to win no matter what.
Yeah. All right. So let's dive into that a little bit, right? Leadership is important, right? More so than players, because leadership kind of dictates who the players are going to be. So I get that. Now, and this wasn't on the list. We weren't going to talk about this, but I think it's interesting. How are the Jazz then so low? They've got good leadership. Danny Ainge had great success in Boston, and now he goes to Utah, and you've got them bottom of the barrel at number 7. I'll make that make sense.
I think you have to analyze. Now, the owner, we don't know if they'll put the money up. I think he will.
True.
However, has Danny Ainge been very successful? They've been terrible for how many years now? Yeah. They haven't shown any strides to get better. In fact, this year they won under 20 games. So they've gotten worse. He traded the 2 best players he had, Gobert and Mitchell, as soon as he got the job. And from that point on, it has gotten worse, to the point where they hold guys out of games so they have a better draft. I know he got a bunch of draft. One of the things people need to understand too, when you get draft picks, let's say you trade to a team that's pretty good. Even if you get their draft picks, you know what that means? You're probably going to pick between 20 and 30. So you're not going to get the top guy out there. People need to realize that teams that are good make those trades because that player might get them over the top. And they're not worried because they plan on being a top 5 or 10 team. That goes with the thing. The team's got a whole mess of draft picks. However, I don't see anything coming out of this mess. And it is a mess when you look at the team. In fact, this year they trade John Collins, probably one of their offensive players.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? And then you read Walker Kessler is a nice player. Yeah. He's NBA as a center. He doesn't score, but he does all the little things that center big men do in the NBA. He wants two first-round picks for him. You know what? When a person's like that, like different, I guess was a nice word to put it. Why would anybody want to make a deal with him? Come, that's that's absurd. So that's why I don't think they have the chance. Ainge has hired his son, and Austin Ainge did a good job with Boston, but he's hired his son to run the team. And he is like president or whatever it is, but his son is running it. So maybe there is a hope.
Okay. Let's see how things play out in Utah. Because these are all long suffering teams. I was going to say that's a long suffering franchise, but these are all long suffering franchises. Let's focus on the top two, right? These are the two teams that you think are most likely to win it. So a couple questions. Number one question, you've got the Orlando Magic at number one, the Minnesota Timberwolves at number two. Is it a coin flip there? Do you think they're both really close, or are the Magic tried and true number one? That's question number one. Question number two, how close do you think these teams are? And do you see them potentially winning it within next season, within 5 years? What do you think?
Let's take them one at a time. At my age, I have a tough time remembering things.
Gotcha.
The first thing was about the Magic. Ben Carroll's been playing in the league 2 years. Wagner's been playing 3 years. They're only going to get better and better. Ownership has gone out and paid them. Ben Carroll is going to be a top 10 player in the NBA. Wagner's not going to be far off. Did someone say Jaylen Brown and Tatum comparison?
Wow.
Okay. No, Ben Carroll's good. He's real good. Now, you also have ownership willing to go out and get Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane's, and he's a solid on all ends of the court, and he can shoot. The ownership has a decent bench built around him and other starters around them. Wendell Carter is a nice player. Isaacs is a tremendous defender. They've got players all over the place. They are close. Now, the only way it can ruin it, we don't know this answer with other things, is if ownership decides not to pay money when these contracts come up. They've already taken care of Wagner and Ben Carroll. So it tells you they're willing to do what they have to do to win. Hey, when I look at the potential of that group, I just think they are destined to have a good shot at winning a title. When you look at, that's why I'm with them. What was the second question?
How close are the Magic and the Timberwolves? Or do you see these both as 1A and 1B?
No.
Or is there a big separation there?
I think the whole thing changes. The Timberwolves need one more player. They need one more player. They've been waiting for Anthony Edwards, and he's good. But they've been waiting for him to take off. He's good. Yeah. He's a real good player. You need a second. Randall, they just paid. I think $33 million. So they just paid him. And he's good. I don't know if he's a number 2. He might be a number 3. Signed Naz Reid. They need a point guard. And they're hoping Dillingham comes into his own and can do that because Connolly is near the end. But I just think there's one more player. When you watched them in the playoffs this year and last year, they just didn't seem like they were good enough to beat those teams.
Right.
One more player. If they make the deal for one player, I'm the first one to say, I don't know how they're going to do it though, because they're taxed. They do have new ownership, and new ownership, most times we find with new owners, they'll spend money because they want to win.
Sure.
So that might work out for them, but that's why I put them number 2. They're close. They're close, but that team is constituted. Are they good enough to win it? Now, I'm going to say something to you to think about. This year is a very interesting year. You got Boston, forget it, without Tatum. Oklahoma City's a big favorite. But if you go away from Oklahoma City, this might be a year where this won't be one of the most talented championship teams you'll ever see. Meaning, a team like the Knicks, who still need a little bit of, they did okay in the summer by bringing Clarkson and Yabusele, but they might need a little bit more. But you know what? In a down year, they might have enough. And let's say that about Minnesota. In a down year, but the thing is, I keep looking at it, unless somebody gets hurt on Oklahoma City, it's not going to be easy.
All right. You heard the buzzer. It went off, but I want to hold your feet to fire on this one. You said Orlando Magic are close. Let's just focus on the number 1 team. It's your number 1 team. They're close. How close? Do you see them potentially winning it this year? Are they an Eastern Conference finalist this season? And by this season, 25-26.
I think there are 2 years. I think it's the Eastern Conference is really interesting this year. There's so many questions that you really can't determine. You think about Philadelphia. Who knows? They could win 60 and they could win 30 and anything in between. So you don't know. You just don't know what's going to happen. The Knicks have a new coach. Who knows? I do think Orlando can defend, and they've got those two guys.
Yeah.
So they're in business, and they got their defender coming back who's been hurt most of last year. So that would be another thing. The name is escaping me, but that's one more thing they'll have. So they're going to be dangerous, really good. People don't realize how good they can be. Banchero is just such a good player. He could score. He still hasn't learned to make a three consistently. He'll get there. And Wagner plays over him real well. So that's why I like them a lot. And like I said, and I'm going to use Tatum and Brown. When Tatum and Brown were in their second and third years, I don't think they were as good as this group, as those two.
Wow. All right. That collective applause you heard was the entire Orlando Magic fan base cheering. That's a great report card. And I'm excited to see success in Orlando. This is a team that, if I remember right, I think they drafted Penny. They brought in Shaq. They had success right away. They got swept in the finals, I think, against Houston. So this is a team that had been there before, at least a franchise that had been there before, but as close as they got. Some of these teams, I'm looking at the Wolves, the Clippers, have never even made it. But would love to see success in Orlando for the Magic. Interesting list, interesting conversation. Had a great time. But that's it. You heard our clock go off. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Make sure to read that Steve's Entire 13 Rules, right? Maybe article. We'll link it wherever you are watching or listening to this. And of course, please join us next week and consider subscribing, liking, sharing. All that stuff matters and means the world to us. Thank you. Join us next week on the Shot Clock Pod, the best 15 minutes of random NBA talk online anywhere. We'll talk then. Thanks, Steve.
Take care.